Authorities in Montana are urging residents to stay indoors. News Clip 2. 4 dead at a local bar in Anaconda. News Clip 3. And another quadruple murder in Tennessee, possibly a family dispute turned deadly. 2 killers. 8 victims. One night that stunned America. Communities shattered. Families torn apart. And 2 manhunts, more than 2,000 miles apart, unraveling at the same time. What happened that night? What drove 2 men, one a former soldier, the other a newly released felon, to leave behind trails of blood? This is the chilling story of the night of 2 killers. Anaconda, Montana. A town of fewer than 10,000 people, surrounded by vast pine forests and the cold shadows of forgotten mountains. Friday night started like any other. Locals gathered at the Owl Bar, a worn-down watering hole just off Main Street. Pool tables. Country music. Cheap whiskey. But at 8:13 p.m., that peace was shattered. Inside the bar, 4 people shot dead. No warning. No argument. Just chaos. The surveillance camera above the exit caught a figure bolting out the back door, barefoot and shirtless, disappearing into the night. That man was Michael Brown, 45 years old. A decorated Army veteran. And, according to neighbors, a man fighting demons for years. Michael had served in Afghanistan. He came home with PTSD, severe and untreated. Over time, he became reclusive, paranoid, and increasingly unstable. Neighbor interview, voice. I watched him walk out of the house that night, rifle in his hand. Looked like he was on a mission. Brown lived just steps from the Owl Bar. Locals say he was irregular, quiet, sometimes intense. But never violent. Until that night. 4 victims. All known in the community. A bartender, a newlywed couple, and a local mechanic. No known connection to Brown. No warning signs. Their lives ended in seconds. Police responded within minutes. But Brown was gone. Hours later, officers found his pickup truck, abandoned off a logging trail, deep in the hills west of town. Inside? Empty shell casings. His wallet. No weapon. Now, Brown is believed to be hiding in the rugged backcountry near Stumptown Road, dense woods, steep cliffs, old mining tunnels. The perfect place to vanish. Sheriff's briefing. We believe he's armed. Possibly injured. Residents should not approach anyone matching his description. Locals were told to lock their doors, stay home, and wait. As the manhunt continued into the night, a chilling realization began to sink in. This wasn't the only bloodshed that day. But before we dive into that story, something about Michael Brown's rampage wasn't adding up. And the deeper investigators dug into his background, the more disturbing the picture became. Let's go back to the day before the shooting. Thursday afternoon, 3:47 p.m. Michael Brown walks into a local pawn shop. He's calm, focused. He buys 2 boxes of .223 ammunition. Leaves quietly. Hours later, neighbors report hearing an argument at his house. Shouting. Something thrown. Then silence. The next day, 4 people are dead. But here's the twist. The bar's security camera shows Brown entering at 7:52 p.m. But the first 911 call was logged at 7:49 p.m. How could he be inside the bar after the murders happened? Police are now re-examining the footage, questioning whether the shirtless man who ran out the back was really Michael Brown, or someone else entirely. And there's more. Witnesses described a semi-automatic rifle. Police recovered shells matching that description from the scene. But Brown's military record shows he had a different weapons training background. Not with that style of rifle. And the pawn shop? Only sold him ammunition, not a gun. So where did the weapon come from? And if Brown didn't bring it, did someone else? Investigators now believe Michael Brown may have been set up. According to an unsealed warrant, Brown had filed a formal complaint against a local bar owner weeks earlier, accusing them of dealing drugs behind the bar. One of the victims? That same bar owner's brother-in-law. Suddenly, this isn't just a random shooting by a mentally ill veteran. This might be a targeted frame-up. A trap. A way to eliminate someone, and make it look like a meltdown. And as search teams closed in on Brown's last known location in the mountains, a discovery was made. A blooded shirt. Buried under a pile of rocks. DNA confirmed it belonged to Michael Brown. But here's the terrifying part. Next to the shirt was a cell phone. Smashed. But not destroyed. And what it contained changes everything. On the phone was a video message. Recorded hours before the murders. Michael, looking panicked, breathing heavily, says. If you're watching this, they're coming. I didn't do this. They're going to pin it on me. Tell my sister, tell her I tried to warn them. What was Michael Brown running from? Was he the killer, or the scapegoat? And how is it all connected to what happened 2,000 miles away? In Tennessee, that very same night? For more bodies. A baby left behind. And a suspect who may be closer than anyone thinks. Don't miss this developing stories, the family slaughter. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Michael Brown was framed? Or was this a killer with a guilty conscience? Subscribe to True Crime Series, and hit the bell so you don't miss the shocking twist in Tennessee. The Montana massacre was only half the nightmare. Because on the same night, over 2,000 miles away, another horror was unfolding. In a quiet, rural town in Lake County, Tennessee. 4 more people were dead. This time, it was family. The Tennessee family killing. Lake County. Tucked in the northwestern corner of Tennessee. Fields, farms, and long country roads that seem to stretch forever. It's the kind of place where doors stay unlocked. Where everyone knows your name. And where, on a warm Tuesday afternoon, a baby was found, alone, in a car seat. Abandoned on a stranger's front lawn. The call came in at 4:12 p.m. A passerby said a man had flagged her down, frantic, saying he'd found a baby and needed help. She pulled over. He pointed to the car seat on the grass. Told her to get the child. Said, "Take care of her. I can't be here." Then he vanished. That man? Austin Drummond. 28 years old. Fresh out of prison. Just 6 months free. He'd been serving time for aggravated assault and weapons charges. And he wasn't even supposed to be in Lake County. But here's where the story turns chilling. Because that baby he left behind? She belonged to one of the 4 victims found just hours later. Police were called to a single-story farmhouse, miles away from the baby's discovery. Inside, a bloodbath. 4 people, all related, shot execution style. 2 women. 1 elderly man. 1 teenage boy. There were no signs of forced entry. No struggle. No theft. Whoever did this wasn't a stranger. And just like that, Austin Drummond became the prime suspect. Drummond had been living with the family on and off since his release. According to neighbors, he was in a relationship with the youngest adult victim, a woman in her early 20s. They had a rocky history. On and off again. Police were called more than once. But it was the baby that tied it all together. Because DNA later confirmed. The child was Drummond's daughter. So the question became, why would a father murder the mother of his child, and her entire family, only to leave the baby behind? Unless he didn't. Drummond's vehicle, a beat-up Chevy Malibu, was found 60 miles from the crime scene the next day. Inside were snacks, an empty gas can, and a half-written letter. Scrawled in pencil, it read, "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I tried to stop it. I swear." But investigators noticed something strange. Drummond had flagged down help in a spot exactly halfway between the crime scene and where the car was found. A spot only locals would know. A shortcut. As if he had help. What if someone else was in that car? What if Drummond didn't act alone? The coroner's report put the time of death around 3:30 p.m. The baby was found at 4:12 p.m. But the location of the car, an hour away, made no sense. If Drummond killed them at 3:30, dropped the baby at 4:12, then drove to ditch the car, when did he have time to write the letter? Why didn't he just keep driving? And the bigger question, where did he go after abandoning the baby? According to criminal psychologist Dr. Lena Garvey, leaving the baby behind, unharmed and in plain sight, suggests something deeper. This wasn't a cold-blooded killer trying to erase evidence. It was someone breaking, emotionally. A man torn between guilt and fear. And maybe, a man who didn't pull the trigger at all. Here's where everything changes. Security footage from a gas station 2 towns over, time-stamped at 3:15 p.m., shows Drummond buying a soda. Clear as day. Face to camera. That's 15 minutes before the murder supposedly occurred. And here's the kicker. He wasn't alone. Drummond walks in with another man. Taller. Wearing a camo hoodie. Face mostly hidden. The 2 chat casually. They pay cash. Leave separately. That second man has never been identified. And no one, not even Drummond's own family, knew who he was. So now we have 2 possibilities. 1, Drummond killed his girlfriend's family, then stopped for a soda with a stranger before vanishing. Or 2, he was already being watched. Followed. Or used. The murder weapon? Still missing. Surveillance from a neighbor showed no one entering or leaving the house at the estimated time of death. And yet, 4 people were killed. Silently. Efficiently. Almost like it was planned. Locals began to whisper. Some believed Drummond was set up, used as a scapegoat in a drug dispute involving one of the victims. Others pointed to his criminal record. His temper. His time in prison. But the strangest theory? That the real killer was someone inside the family, and Drummond tried to stop it. What if he walked in, and saw what happened too late? What if he grabbed the baby, and ran? And what if the man on that gas station tape was the one who pulled the trigger? The last confirmed sighting of Drummond came at 5:02 p.m. Dashcam footage from a local delivery truck showed a man matching his description walking down a back road, near a stretch of woods. He looked over his shoulder, and disappeared into the trees. He hasn't been seen since. 1 week later, an envelope arrived at the sheriff's office. No return address. Inside, a burnt piece of paper, and a baby's sock. On the paper were 3 words, scratched in black ink. I told you. Who was the man at the gas station? Where did Austin Drummond go? And if he didn't kill his family, who did? Because now, there's a disturbing new connection between this tragedy in Tennessee and the massacre that happened the very same night in Montana. 2 killers, 2 towns, and one dark thread tying them together. But what is it? Join us for The Hidden Link. And remember, nothing about that night was a coincidence. What do you think happened in Lake County? Was Drummond guilty, or running from someone else? Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and buckle in for the jaw-dropping twist. 2 killers, 8 victims, and still, no arrests. A war veteran vanishes into the mountains. A young father disappears after a family massacre. 1 night. 2 manhunts. 0 answers. Now, entire communities are holding their breath, afraid to sleep, afraid to open their doors. This is the chilling story that has shaken America. It's been 72 hours since the first shots were fired. In Montana, search teams comb the forested hills near Stumptown Road. In Tennessee, backroads and barns are being swept inch by inch. Michael Brown. Austin Drummond. 2 fugitives. 2 very different men. But both? Armed. Dangerous. And gone. In both states, authorities issued urgent shelter-in-place orders. Montana Sheriff's Department. We're dealing with a man who knows this terrain, possibly trained to survive in it. If you see anyone unfamiliar on your property, do not engage. Call us immediately. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We believe Drummond is desperate. Is likely armed. Residents in Lake County and surrounding towns are advised to stay vigilant and indoors. Schools shut down. Local businesses boarded up. Gas stations refused service after dark. Some towns looked like they'd reverted to wartime protocol. A grocery store owner in Montana said, "I haven't seen panic like this since 9/11. Everyone's watching the tree line." Meanwhile, in Tennessee, a candlelight vigil for the slain family drew over 300 mourners, many wearing bulletproof vests beneath their coats. People weren't just mourning. They were preparing. Because as each hour passed with no arrests, a new fear grew. What if this wasn't over? In Montana, the terrain was working against law enforcement. Michael Brown, former Army Ranger, was trained for exactly this type of environment. Survival, evasion, and wilderness combat. Bloodhounds picked up a scent near a logging trail. Drones swept canopies. But then, nothing. A shredded tarp. Some boot prints. An empty MIE packet. Like a ghost, he vanished again. The FBI joined the operation. Thermal imaging helicopters circled day and night. Still, no contact. And then came the chilling find. Near a stream bed, officers recovered a small field journal. It contained only 3 words, scrolled over and over on every page. "They're watching me." Brown's mental state was deteriorating. But it also meant he was alive. Watching. Hiding. And possibly, preparing to strike again. Tennessee investigation. In Lake County, the situation was different. There were no forests to hide in. But miles of farmland. Barns. Old sheds. Places a man could vanish for days. And now, there was another problem. False sightings. Someone thought they saw Drummond at a gas station in Jackson. Another said they spotted him on a bus in Memphis. Both turned out to be dead ends. But one thing wasn't false. The infant girl, left in a car seat outside a stranger's home, was in protective custody. Doctor said she was unharmed, clean, and fed. A social worker told reporters. Whoever left her, cared enough to do it safely. That matters. Some began to wonder. Was that Drummond's confession? His surrender, without speaking a word? The media exploded. Cable news called it the night of two killers. Podcasts were scrambling for details. Reddit threads buzzed with conspiracy theories. Were Brown and Drummond connected? Was this coordinated? Is there someone else pulling the strings? Because now, patterns were emerging. Both suspects vanished within the same 24-hour window. Both were last seen walking, abandoning their vehicles. Both cases involved families, people they were close to. And both left behind something important. A shirt. A letter. A baby. Clues. Or messages? Was this coincidence? Or choreography? Because a third clue had just surfaced, one no one expected. Thursday morning. Lake County Sheriff's Office. A package arrives. No return address. Inside, a burnt journal page. It's from the same notebook found near Michael Brown's last location in Montana. Except this one? It was mailed from Tennessee. He knows about the girl. If I go missing, it's because of them. Written in the same scratchy handwriting as the Montana Journal. But it's signed? A.D. Austin Drummond. Wait, what? How does a page from Brown's journal show up in Tennessee, signed by Drummond? Were they communicating? Had they met before? Theories spiraled. A prison connection? Military? Online forums? Nothing made sense. Until the FBI revealed something even darker. A tip led investigators to a storage unit in Nashville, rented under a fake name. Inside? Military surplus gear. Survival supplies. Maps. And in the back, a burnt laptop, partially recoverable. The data? Encrypted. But two folders had legible titles. File dividers hashed the plan. File dividers hashed the cleanup. We still don't know what's in those files. But sources confirm. This wasn't random. These men may have been part of something bigger. As pressure mounts, authorities face a chilling new question. Is there a third person out there? Someone who tied these two men together, coordinated their actions, and then cut them loose? Then, another shock. A drone patrol in Montana spotted a figure moving through the trees. When agents arrived, they found a makeshift campsite. Fresh. Still warm ashes in the fire pit. Empty food wrappers. And hanging from a tree branch. A baby sock. Not Brown's. Not Drummond's. But identical to the one recovered from the car seat in Tennessee. This isn't a coincidence anymore. This is something far more disturbing. Because now it looks like both suspects. Maybe victims themselves. Who is behind the night of two killers? What is the plan? And how far does this conspiracy really go? Turn on notifications. You won't believe what happens next. Let us know in the comments. Do you believe this was coordinated? Or is someone rewriting the story from the shadows? Subscribe for The Hidden Master, where the truth begins to unravel. 2 towns. 2 families. 8 lives stolen in less than 24 hours. Loved ones grieving. Communities shattered. Questions still unanswered. The days that followed were filled with fear. 4 Lake County, Tennessee, 4 coffins too many. 4 Anaconda, Montana, an entire bar silenced by gunfire. And for the rest of America, an eerie realization. These weren't mass shootings in schools or crowded malls. These were targeted family killings. Personal. Cold. Calculated. The manhunt was still on. Michael Brown and Austin Drummond, both armed, both gone. When we see 2 spree killings within the same time frame, the public asks if they're connected. But more importantly, we ask, why now? What triggered this? Michael Brown was a war veteran. Honorably discharged. Decorated. But inside? He was still at war. Years of PTSD. Unaddressed trauma. Neighbors said he walked alone. Talked to himself. Fired rounds into the woods for no reason. Then, one night, something snapped. No warning. No build-up. Just 4 dead inside the owl bar. Brown disappeared into the Montana wilds like a ghost. Shirtless. Shoeless. Carrying only a rifle and rage. Now rewind 1,800 miles, Lake County. Austin Drummond, fresh out of prison. Nobody expected a homecoming like this. He didn't just kill. He destroyed his own bloodline. But then, he did something no one expected. He left the baby unharmed, inside a car seat. Then flagged someone down to make sure the child was safe. Is that guilt? Remorse? Or part of a bigger, twisted plan? Investigators soon found inconsistencies. Michael Brown's abandoned truck was found 10 miles outside town. But there were no tracks. No scent trail for dogs to follow. No thermal signature in the forest. Detective voiceover. We don't even know if he made it into the woods. Or if someone picked him up. Cut to Austin Drummond's vehicle. Same thing with Drummond. His car was dumped an hour away. But no signs of struggle. No blood. No prints. Just the keys, sitting neatly on the driver's seat. Was he running? Or being held? What if these weren't isolated events? What if they were synchronized? Too far-fetched? Maybe. But the timing was perfect. Same weekend. Same style of killings. Both suspects vanished without a trace. Clip, ex-FBI profiler. We look at behavioral signatures. In both cases, we have domestic connection, sudden escalation, post-killing flight, and most chilling of all, calculated mercy. Cut back to baby footage. The baby left alive. The truck hidden. The car abandoned. These weren't frenzied massacres. They were orchestrated exits. He didn't just kill my brother. He took my niece, my mom, and my cousin too. And then walked away like they were trash. In Montana, the bartender's sister wept as she lit candles. She gave Michael drinks every night. She thought she was helping him feel normal again. He killed her anyway. There's no making sense of it. You can't reconcile murder with mental illness. You can't explain betrayal with bloodlines. But the pain is real. And the fear hasn't gone away. Authorities aren't sleeping. Brown and Drummond are now on federal watch lists. The baby in Tennessee is safe. But the killers are still out there. Tips have flooded in. Dozens of sightings. But so far, nothing sticks. This is a matter of when, not if. We will find them. But weeks have passed. No arrests. No sightings confirmed. And two communities live in constant fear that they might come back. Just when things seem to slow down. A call came in from Utah. A hunter found something buried in the woods. A burned phone. Some shredded documents. A blooded rifle. Not Michael Brown's. Not Drummond's. Someone else was in those forests. Someone no one had mentioned. An accomplice? Or something far more dangerous. Slow zoom in on a blurry trail cam photo. Someone pulling the strings from behind the scenes? In the end, this isn't just about two men. It's about the ripples they left. The children who will grow up without parents. The grandparents who bury their grandkids. The trust that shattered overnight. Soft piano music under slow footage of homes, memorials. In Lake County and Anaconda, every door has a new lock. Every stranger brings a flicker of dread. What drove these men to kill? Where are they now? And how long before they strike again? If you have any information, no matter how small, call your local authorities or the FBI tip line. A hidden cabin, a suspicious bank withdrawal, and a trail that leads across state lines. Is the truth more sinister than anyone imagined? Or are we just scratching the surface? Like, share, subscribe. Stay safe. Stay alert. Stay with us.